Hi, I'm John. This is my show, An American Scheme, where I'm proving that Diana Ross is Michael Jackson's actual mother. Okay, I'm going to show you a video here that's got a lot of connections. And part of this video is the point, one of the parts is that I'm going to show you it's confusing, but I'm also going to show you that there's a lot of connections here. And because of that, it's confusing. And with all of this confusion, it's one of the reasons that you can see why the true story never came out. And to do this research and stuff, it's a lot. There's a lot. There's so much. And I was like, I never make videos about this is because it's like I just keep going and going, and it's like it keeps building. There's just way too much. And that's what I'm trying to show you, is that before the Jacksons get to Motown, there's a lot going on. And with Joe Jackson, and there's a lot going on there. And the same thing with Berry Gordy. Before Berry Gordy makes Motown, there's a lot going on. They're involved with all kinds of people. And so the point of this is what I'm showing you is that because my story says that Joe Jackson and Berry Gordy knew each other before they got to Motown. That's how Michael ended up being put into that house, is because they knew each other, okay? So I'm just going to show you a bunch of stuff, and like I said, this video is confusing. Even me trying to, as I go through it, I'm going to be confused as I go through it. So it's just a tricky video. This is more of like an advanced type of people that actually really want to know the story. I'm putting this information out there. Oh, quiet! So my dad's going to ruin this video too. So not only, and this is another reason too, it's like when I make videos like this that are so complicated and stuff, and it's like, well, like first of all, I'm already confused, and then I've got to have my dad making all kinds of noises and stuff, and it's like he just ate and stuff. And it's like I said, this is a time when I have time to make these videos. After he gets done eating, it's like I have this kind of period, but then he ruins the videos, and if you've been following me, you know that this is what happens and shit, right? So, but it's like, here we go. Let's dive into this and try and get this going and shit, right? So, what I'm going to show you here, some Jackson 5 early years, and I want to show you the boys to perform for their first paying gig at the Apollo Theater. They opened for Etta James. This is before they get to Motown. This is before Motown, okay? See down at the bottom it says get in touch with Motown. It's telling you that they haven't signed to Motown yet, okay? Because it starts with here and stuff. And so they first opened for Etta James, okay? So I'm going to show you here now. Let's see. It's like I said, I've got so much stuff here. It's like, okay, let's go ahead and go here. So let's go to, I'm going to show you something here. This is an Etta James song that she recorded, okay? It says, All I Could Do Was Cry, single by Etta James, released in 1960. The label there is the Chess label, okay? Because part of what I'm saying is Chess Records is in Chicago, and it was a big deal. Chess is a big deal. And if you see there on the songwriters for this, it's Billy Davis, Berry Gordy, and Gwen Gordy. So Berry Gordy, that was the songwriter for Jackie Wilson, it wasn't just Berry Gordy. Berry Gordy was part of a songwriting team. It was his sister Gwen Gordy, and then her boyfriend Billy Davis, okay? And Billy Davis later in his life, he went to work for Chess Records, okay? So like after the stuff there, he didn't stay with Motown. He went to Chess Records and stuff. There's just so much. And it's like what I'm just trying to show you is the connections. But so this is a direct connection from Berry Gordy to Chess Records through Etta James, you know. Etta James is the first person that where the Jacksons opened up for Etta James at the Apollo. This is part of what I'm showing you, is that the connections there's just way too much. That's the problem with this. When I start doing this kind of investigation, what I'm going to show you is it's way too much, and it's freaking confusing. But you'll see here from what I'm showing you, if you guys will watch this, is that there's a lot of connections. So I want to show you here. Okay, so see that? All I Could Do Was Cry by Etta James, okay? Now, this here, so this is the song here. Etta James, All I Could Do Was Cry. Okay, and so it's on the Etta James At Last, because that's At Last. That's a really famous song, right? Okay, so Etta James, and like I'm saying, that's the Chess label, okay? And Etta James, she's got a lot of labels, but by 1960, she was on Chess Records, right? So Chess Records, what a lot of people people that don't really understand is like, okay, see that? All I Could Do Was Cry. That's the song that we were just talking about that was written by Berry Gordy and Gwen Gordy and the Billy Davis, okay? This is from the movie, it says Cadillac Records, okay? So there's a movie out there called Cadillac Records. But, so Cadillac Records, that's Chess Records. That's Chess. Okay, a lot of people don't know that this exists, and that's what I'm saying. There's so much shit. So like right here, that's Beyonce that's starring in the Cadillac Records, and see, the song is All I Could Do Is Cry. This is her singing that song. It's got 26 million views on it and shit, right? So that's the Cadillac Records movie, but the Cadillac Records is Chess Records, and she's playing the Etta James character, right? That's why she's singing that All I Could Do Is Cry. And like I said, that song was written by Berry Gordy, okay? So let me show you here. There's so much stuff here, it's like I'll probably miss something and shit too. Okay, so here's the Miracles, right? This is the Miracles, and when you go down on the Miracles, you would think that the Miracles only would be on Motown, really, basically, right? But you see there, Chess, okay? Because in the early part of Motown, they were using Chess Records to distribute, because they're not only was Berry Gordy writing songs for artists on the Chess label, he then used the Chess label to distribute his artists too. There's crazy shit going on when you actually see, and Chess is in Chicago. Is one of the big things is because Joe Jackson's right there in Gary, Indiana, but the music scene is in Chicago. And so I'm showing you that Berry Gordy has a connection to the Chicago music scene too. It's not just Motown. And so here I'm going to just do this to show you on the Motown thing. Now, so I clicked on the Motown, I didn't click on it, but I just highlighted it. So what I want you to see here is Motown Records. Let me read this. It says, Motown Records is an American record label owned by Universal Music Group. That must have been when they've sold them and stuff now. Okay, so it was founded by Berry Gordy as Tamla Records on January 12th, 1959. And so like the story I'm telling you is that Michael Jackson is born August 29th of 1958. Okay, so what I'm saying is that Michael Jackson being born had a major influence on the development of Motown, because the thing was Motown is being built by Berry Gordy and Smokey Robinson. Diana Ross gets pregnant, but it's by Smokey Robinson. Smokey Robinson's the father of her kid. And so they're trying to build the record company, but they also have to resolve the issue of Smokey having a child from a 14-year-old. Diana's only 14 years old. So Berry Gordy is like, I can't build my record company around Smokey, which that's what he's doing. If the people don't actually know the history, that's the history. It's when Berry Gordy met Smokey Robinson that he decided to build his record company, which eventually becomes Motown. But so as it starts off as Tamla's incorporated on January 12th, 1959. That's just a few months after Michael Jackson's born. Okay. Hold on. Okay, see, the thing is they had to resolve the issue with the Michael Jackson thing. Once that got resolved and they gave Michael Jackson away, okay, August 29th of 1958. Look at, it's just a few months after that the first record thing they incorporate Tamla Records, okay? And see, this is a big part too. Tamla Records, they started with Tamla, but on the Tamla, then they put out the song called Shop Around, which is My Mama Told Me You Better Shop Around. Pretty girls come a dime a dozen. You gotta find one who's gonna give you true love. And I say this song, and when you listen, if you ask Smokey Robinson, like I said, I could pull up all kinds, it's so much shit here that I can't even begin to explain all of this stuff, right? So when you talk to Smokey, he'll say, oh, I wrote Shop Around in like 20 minutes, because he knew what he was talking about. The song of Shop Around is Smokey Robinson coming up with the story about him like telling his mother, but his mother's passed away, so there's a thing about that. But see, every time my dad when he starts talking, then it messes up my train of thought too. So it's difficult for me to even make these videos, let alone how confusing it is and stuff, right? But the only reason it's like I do this and stuff is that I want you to see like the experience of what real life. This is real life, okay? So I'm not trying to cover up the difficulties, what I have to deal with my dad and stuff, because part of what I want to expose in the process of me doing this research and stuff, it's like, well, I'm dealing with real life and shit, right? And life, it's right here, you know? And I have to deal with real life. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm not even going to try and like get into editing and make these pretty videos, because the amount of time of what that would take, it's impossible. My attention is like right there. If my attention's not on my dad, he's going to force my attention back onto him. It's just the difficulties what I have to do. And so it's like, I don't mind documenting that, because it's real life and shit. So you guys get to see this is what real life is about and shit. Okay, so the song Shop Around is on the Tamla label. Shop Around is the first million-selling record. What they said, okay, quiet. Shop Around is the song that sold 1 million records. That's the song that makes them legit. It's the song, it's specifically one song, Shop Around, which like Smokey said, he wrote that song in like 20, 30 minutes because it was an easy song because he knew the story about the Diana Ross. He was telling the story about getting a young girl pregnant and then having like a mother figure telling him what he should do in his life, you know, saying you need to shop around. He knew what to do, right? So he wrote that song. It became a $1 million seller. And Berry Gordy assisted him on the writing of that song too. So you got to think about the reality is that when they wrote that song, it was about a real life issue, a serious issue. It's actually it's a hardcore. Okay, quiet. There's nothing I could do. I try and tell him stop, but he won't stop and stuff. And it's like how difficult it is. Like I said, this video is already confusing as hell, let alone trying to freaking deal, you know. When you know how difficult it is when I watch these videos and he's saying all that shit, it totally ruins the videos. But how difficult it is for me to carry on this train of thought and try and express this stuff. And while he's it's like I can't even think, you know. And that's why the people, the way they treat me, and it's like a person like Michael Trapson. You ask Michael Trapson, he'll sit there and say, I care so much about Michael Jackson fans. Anybody out there that's doing something for Michael Jackson, man, I care about you, all this stuff. It's like, dude, I'm the only person doing a real investigation, and he blocks me and literally refuses to even mention my fucking name. He's so stupid, he actually thinks me trying to make contact with him, he thinks I'm trolling him. What a fucking egocentric, self-centered fucking loser. He's so fucking scared of dealing with any reality of what a Michael Jackson story. All he wants to know about is the shit he can steal from. Like this concert, what did he wear? How did he dress, right? That's all Michael Trapson cares about, is how he can steal. He's very interested in all of Michael Jackson's history as long as he can steal from it. That's all he fucking cares about. When I come in with the real story, he absolutely refuses to. I sent him an email. One time he read my fucking email and tried to make fun of me on one show, the one time. Then he realized that I'm not the kind of person to be messed with, and he didn't like. I came back and he couldn't deal with what I was doing, and because I was hitting him like I'm making jokes about him, but it's like I'm just trying to get your fucking attention, loser. I've sent you an email explaining why I'm fucking trying to talk to you, but he just thinks I'm fucking trolling him. Like, what a fucking loser. He can't even watch any of my work to understand that I'm doing a fucking investigation. This is the shit that's just like, what the fuck is wrong with people? What fucking losers? Michael Trapson is a fucking loser. He's a total fucking loser. He cares nothing about Michael Jackson. He can't care about Michael Jackson because if he did, he would have at some point, he's obligated. That's his fucking job. If there's somebody out here like me, I've been around for a long time, he knows exactly who I am. He knows that anybody that's out there representing Michael Jackson, I go right after them. And I fucking tell him, either you fucking look at my work or I'll fucking start busting on you. That's what fucking happened. He couldn't handle fucking either part. He couldn't handle my Michael Jackson investigation. He couldn't deal with my fucking videos I made about him. He's literally scared of me. He's terrified. I've heard him in things, if somebody mentions my name, he literally says, we don't fucking say his name around here. That's what got to the point. He says, don't even fucking say his name. It's like, dude, what part of my fucking investigation have you done? Have you looked at any of my work? No. Fucking Michael Trapson's a fucking loser. And then all the stupid Michael Jackson fans, oh, Michael Trapson, you're so cute. Oh, Michael would have loved you. Fuck you all. That's why I yell at all of you fuckers, the fans, and fuck you all, man. Fuck, I get pissed. Dude, fuck all you fucking losers, man. And so my video is just totally ruined and shit, right? But here I go. I'm going to fucking keep going, push through, and make this fucking stupid video, put it on my page. It gets no fucking attention. And why would it get any fucking attention? It's not professionally edited. I can't do that. That's why I tried to be friends with River Gibbs in the beginning. It's like, okay, well, you're a fucking editor. I'm not here trying to hoard the whole fucking story. Help me. You're a fucking editor. I'll give you the fucking work. Edit a fucking proper video. Could he do that? Hell fucking no. He bailed out of the scene and called Michael Jackson a pedophile before he would ever dare to fucking deal with the reality of the fucking story and the shit I'm fucking dealing with. But Michael Trapson he was best friends with River Gibbs. He was old buddy River Gibbs, all the shit, and I would say, fuck him, he's a fraud. Oh no, he's my buddy and shit. It was fucking ridiculous, the shit I had to deal with these. It's like, dude, how long do I have to be out here fucking telling people I got a fucking story about Michael Jackson you need to hear before they won't fucking even look at it? What the fuck? I mean, you could put the stupidest fucking video out there about Michael Jackson and those fucking morons will watch it. But they won't watch my fucking work. None of them. Fucking ridiculous. Okay, so as I'm saying, Tamla Records puts out the song Shop Around. When Shop Around, being the fucking hardcore reality-based type of song it was, it sells 1 million copies. Then you see that Motown Records was incorporated on April 14th of 1960. Okay, so Motown, what happens is the Tamla, that's a soft name, Tamla Records. Like, just think about the reality if they never changed it to Motown, right? Tamla, it doesn't have the cachet of like what Motown, right? Tamla Records, it wouldn't be like when you talk about, oh, Motown. Yeah. Motown's the fucking shit. I mean, it's like it's got the most cachet of like any record company I could even, there's like, the number one name, the most valued name in the record company as far as what the name represents, Motown. I think it's the best fucking one and shit, right? But when they started, they didn't even have that name. And how does the name develop? Because the song Shop Around is written, and the song Shop Around is a serious, hardcore song. When you actually know the reality about Smokey and Diana giving their baby away, that Smokey got her pregnant, what the song's actually about. And I think that what happened is when that song sold 1 million copies, that Berry Gordy realized, we need to be real, the thing about being real. That's what people liked, that genuine thing, right? And he changed and he said, yeah, well, you know, we need to be represented by a better name. Tamla doesn't have the cachet. And so he came up with the name Motown. So like even the name Motown Records, I personally think that the name was developed because of the Michael Jackson story of what I'm talking about. That's how big the Michael Jackson thing and the story of all this stuff, what I'm talking about. I was like, I even think the name got developed that way. You know, so Motown... like I said, if you look up to see Michael Jackson's birthday, you'll see that right after his birthday is when it starts happening. And it's because it's how it all lines up and shit, right? Okay, so quiet. Okay, so let me move to another part here. So now I'm going to show you, let's go and show you this part here. I've shown this recently just too, but I'm going to show it again. Okay, so this is Joe Jackson's actual brother, Luther Jackson, okay? So listen to what he says here.
About so far as the music, Daddy, what about when you was a guitar player, you remember you told me you used to be at the small farm playing with Jimmy Reed, Howlin Wolf, and all them guys. All right.
Okay, so he's talking about, he used to be a guitar player, and he was hanging out with Jimmy Reed and Howlin Wolf. This is Joe Jackson's brother, okay? And so I thought Jimmy Reed and Howlin Wolf were both on the Chess label, but I looked up Jimmy Reed, and Jimmy Reed wasn't on the Chess label, but he did try out for Chess. But then he's on the Vee Jay label, which is really interesting here too. Let me see that part. Oh, yeah. Okay, hold on. Let me find. There it is, right there. Okay, so see, it says he tried to gain a recording with Chess Records. It said he failed to gain it. Okay, so he did try with Chess Records. This is Jimmy Reed, but then he signed with Vee Jay. Okay, he actually did sign with Vee Jay, and now I'm gonna click on the Vee Jay one. Yeah, I'm gonna click on the Vee Jay here. I want to show you.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I wanted to show. See, Vee Jay started. It started in Gary, Indiana too, but so on Vee Jay, it says here notable artist. It says major acts on the labels in the 50s, right? 50s included blues singer Jimmy Reed, Memphis Slim, John Lee Hooker, rhythm and blues vocal group The Spaniels. Okay. See, the Spaniels, so the Spaniels is on Vee Jay, and now without me pulling up the Spaniels to show you, because I think I'd actually have to go to Joe Jackson's to find out this piece of information, but what you find out is that the Spaniels and like this Vee Jay started off in Gary, Indiana. And like I said, there's so much more stuff here. I'd have to go through the stuff, and because I think they moved to Chicago too. I'm not sure, but I'd have to go through all this. But this group, the Spaniels, who's on the Vee Jay label, the Spaniels has a singer named Pookie Hudson. Okay, so before Pookie Hudson started the band, the Spaniels, Pookie Hudson was in Joe Jackson's group, the Falcons. Okay, they're from Gary, Indiana. So this is the things of what I'm showing you is like how Joe Jackson brothers said they were hanging out with Jimmy Reed and Howlin Wolf. Okay, well Jimmy Reed's on on the Vee Jay label, who also signed the Spaniels. The Spaniels, the lead singer, he previously was in Joe Jackson's band, the Falcons. That's what I'm trying to show you here is that, and these connections go back. This is early 50s, you know, this stuff's early 50s. And the Spaniels, they're credited as one of the groups that developed the singing style of doo-wop. Of the doo-wop singing style. And when you understand, that's basically the singing style that Berry Gordy used for Motown, okay? So Berry Gordy, he would know these guys. These guys all know each other, and it goes way back. This is much before Michael Jackson is born. There's a much more history, and Joe Jackson's involved in it. He's around these people. They're hanging out together. There's a lot of history here. And so, I'm going to show you the... So the Howlin Wolf, though, let me see. Howlin Wolf. See, there's Chess Records. Okay, so recorded had not. Sun Records had not yet been formed. Sun Records is the one that did Elvis Presley, you know, in the beginning. So Phillips licensed his recording to Chess Records. Howlin Wolf's first singles were issued by two different recording companies, 1951. See, this is in the old days. This goes way back. 1951. So Leonard Chess was able to secure Howlin Wolf's contract, and at the urging of Chess, he relocated to Chicago in late 1952. So that's what I'm saying about Chicago, how that Chicago was the important place, and this is 1952. So this was early 50s. And so when Joe Jackson brother is saying that they're hanging out with Howlin Wolf and stuff, let me just click on a picture here, and then so I can talk about some things.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so like I was saying, this is a confusing video, but what you see, it's like you've got Berry Gordy working with the Chess label, okay, writing songs like for Etta James, that was on the Chess label, released under the Chess label in 1960, which that's like right when Motown's starting. So at that time, he's still writing songs for other people that are, you know, like on the Chess label. Then when you see that the Miracles, when you look on the Miracles, you see that they're signed on Chess too. That Chess actually distributed the first like records that came out of the Miracles. They were being distributed under Chess Records. And like the guy that wrote, the writing team was the Billy Davis, Berry Gordy, and Gwen Gordy. When you see that was the writing team that wrote the songs for Etta James, then you find out later that Billy Davis went and worked for Chess Records and stuff, right? So there's this massive connection. And then when you've got Luther Jackson saying the people that they were hanging out with was like Jimmy Reed and Howlin Wolf. Howlin Wolf is on the Chess label right there in Chicago, and the Jimmy Reed is on the Vee Jay, where that's where the Spaniels is at. And the Spaniels, the lead singer of the Spaniels, he was in Joe Jackson's band, the Falcons, you know? So, and then like I said, the first person that the Jacksons, the first paid gig at the Apollo, the first act that they opened with was for Etta James, you know. And so like I said, the Etta James, you see that Berry Gordy wrote songs for her on the Chess label. So like I said, this video is confusing, and what happens is, like, when you start getting into this stuff, there's so much when you like, that's what I'm saying. This whole stuff, it's like I would have to do a book just about this. I would have to really research every single one of these people, all of these record companies, and all the stuff like that. Okay, quiet. And then what I'm saying is, through this research, what you would find out is that they're connected. This is what shows you how Joe Jackson is connected to Berry Gordy, that they're in, when I talk about them running around the same circles and they knew the same people, this is the video of what I'm trying to show you, is that they knew each other. They knew each other before Joe Jackson. Before they end up going and doing their Motown audition, because they always act like that. Oh, they're just a group from Gary, Indiana. They act like they're just like Joe was working at the steel mill and wasn't doing anything else in his life. But it's like, no, you find out that there was a lot going on there. And we don't know that story because they don't tell you. Okay, quiet, please. They don't tell you that story. That there's a lot. There's a lot more going on. But what it leads you to seeing that Joe Jackson has a connection to Berry Gordy before Michael Jackson's born. You know, so before that. So that's what I'm trying to show you, is that's how Michael got put into that family. Because Joseph was out of state. They needed that kid to be born out of state. And then this family, being like a music family, it was a place where Berry Gordy felt comfortable. And see, the child before Michael, because it's Marlon and Brandon, and the Brandon kid died. So in that house, just the fact of the Jacksons, they would have had another child in that house anyways.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, quiet. Quiet. It's annoying as fuck. It's like when I start like at this point too. It's like, and when I get it, like, there's like so many times right now I'll just shut the fucking camera off and then that's it. I won't put this video. Like right now I'm thinking in my head, right? Right now I'm thinking fuck this video. That's all right now. All I'm thinking in my head is like, fuck this video. I ain't putting this fucking video. It's confusing. It's totally fucking ridiculous with my dad talking the whole time. It's fucking ridiculous and shit, right? It's horrible shit, right? And then so like right now, I'm actually thinking to myself, okay, am I gonna? But I know I'm gonna put this video out. I'm gonna upload it and shit, right? But I know I'm gonna upload it and nobody's gonna watch it. And the only thing I'm gonna do is like fucking. Some people fucking make fun of me, and it's just fucking ridiculous and shit, right? And that's what I'm saying. These people, I ask for a little bit of help. This is how it goes in the world. It's like the people, they want to like discover me. And this is the thing like with the Jacksons. People, they take ownership of this shit. This is what I hate with the fans. It's like they feel like they own the Jacksons. Like, oh, I own him. And that's what people are trying to do to me. Nobody will help me because it doesn't give them that ownership thing. What they want to do is they want to act like if they discovered me, then they can take an ownership. There's some kind of ownership. You know, it's freaking ridiculous. So this is what I have to deal with. But see, when I go ask people, then they don't get that discovery thing. There's the thing about that. And when they're not part of like acting like they discovered me, because then they can't say, oh, I fucking discovered him when he was nothing and shit, right? Nobody was watching his shit. I fucking discovered him. That's how the mentality of these people. But if you ask these people, they'd say, oh, I help people. Oh, I want to help. But they don't. When you actually ask them for help, and then I'm not asking for help, I'm giving them opportunities. It's like, dude, anybody who fucking helps me, you get to be connected to this fucking story. Being connected to this, but then what happens is they realize that then they get connected to this and this story is going to swamp them.
No.
Then they're going to be like, oh, all of my work that I've done in my whole life is not going to be important, because you know how it is, like all the people that knew Michael Jackson, they don't want to talk about their careers and shit. They're just like, well, tell me about how you knew Michael Jackson. That's what happens on all these interviews with all these people. It's like, it ends up becoming that their work is secondary. The only thing is important is like, well, what was your relation to Michael Jackson, right? And that's how it happens in the world with all these people. And it happens to everybody. So there's people that I ask for help, they realize that my story will swamp them. And then if they didn't discover me, they don't get to claim that thing. Well, oh, I discovered him. He was nothing without me. Nothing would have happened. Right? So that's the shit I deal with. The people, and then the big part about it is that this story was going on in Michael Jackson's life, and see that everybody thinks this is the biggest thing about why my story is so important. Is that okay, quiet. That everybody like in the world, you're talking about most people in the world, it's Michael Jackson's so famous and that you think that you know that he came up with the Jackson 5 and then he died the way he died and he had his whole life as the biggest star. There's so much information there that people think they know who Michael Jackson is, okay? And when my story comes in and say, oh boy, you didn't know shit, okay, they don't like that. They're having a hard time dealing with it. And that's part of my story. What's the problem of why the story's not coming out is because these people can't accept the fact that they were fooled. And then they don't want to know the truth. They like living in the lie. And the world we're living in that's going into destruction is because that's the way people are. They can't deal with fucking reality. They'd rather see the world burn down and shit before they would ever look at themselves and say, you're the fucking problem. And see, my whole thing about why I'm the intelligent person I am is because my whole basis is that I understand I'm stupid. That's how intelligent, wise, that's how you develop your wisdom. It's not through the understanding that you're smart. Like when they give you grades in school and say, oh, you're this, you've accomplished this. They put a label, here's your freaking degree and stuff. They're always trying to tell you you're smart. Oh, you know this makes you smart, this makes you that. But that's bullshit. That just makes you a slave. The actual real process of what you have to do is you have to abandon all of that fucking bullshit and you have to understand the basis is you have to understand you're stupid. And it's like, well, how do you understand you're stupid? Oh, that's really easy. You just got to believe it. If you actually believe in God, then you know God is how many billions of years old? You know, God's old. And if there's a God that's that fucking old, imagine the knowledge that God has, okay? So this is the problem with humans is they don't actually believe in God. They believe in all the stupid shit that they say, well, if you believe in this, then that means you believe in God. They don't. And I'm just flat out telling you, they don't believe in God. That's their fucking problem. And the reason they don't believe in God is why they can't allow themselves to understand that they're stupid. You've got to understand that as a human being, it doesn't matter how fucking smart you ever fucking get and how much knowledge you ever get. I don't care if you're splitting fucking atoms and making nuclear bombs and creating wormholes. I don't care if you're fucking the most advanced person on the fucking planet. You're still stupid as fuck compared to God. That's the whole fucking point. So within the understanding of how stupid you are, that's how you can process and keep thinking because you know that there's more. There's always more. You don't make something and say, I did it. Hurrah, hooray for me. That's all there is to it. I figured the whole thing out. No, you constantly got to say, it doesn't matter how far I get in my knowledge and my gaining of information and wisdom. I know that this level of wisdom is minuscule compared to the infinite knowledge that God possesses. And so when you actually believe in God, you don't say, I'm smart, I believe in God, oh, I'm good. You say, I'm stupid. That's the problem. And people can't do that. They're weak. They're fucking losers. They don't really believe in God. And that's like what part of all my stuff about what I'm trying to come out and show you all the confusion of all the stuff, because what it does, it shows you that you don't know shit. And that's why this story is so important. It'll hit people and actually get them to understand. Look at the Michael Jackson story as what you thought it was. And now I've come in with this new story and I'm showing them, you're stupid as fuck, man. There's way more to that fucking story than you ever fucking knew. Way more than anybody ever knew. All those smart people that thought they were fucking so smart, I proved you're stupid. And that's the whole basis of what the real greatness of this story of what I'm doing. It's going to get people to accept the fact that they're stupid. And when you can accept the fact that you're stupid, that's when you can first take your first step into understanding the mind of God.